Hi guys, this is Al Busco and welcome back to another video. A couple weeks ago I did a video of top 10 songs for Paul McCartney and Wings and his solo career in general. Because it was his birthday, the other day when I recorded that. And, looking back on that, I, really want to do more of these videos, because it is pretty fun. And, today, and it only made sense to do it because, I just did Paul McCartney and Wings or solo career, however you want. I just did his entire solo career for top 10 songs, and it only made sense to do my favorite band of all time and a lot of people's favorite band of all time, the Fab Four, the Beatles. Um, Funny enough, this list wasn't that difficult for me to make because I guess the general ideology for this is when you have a favorite band or something like that, when you have a favorite band, and for this case, it's the Beatles with me. They've been my favorite band for my entire life. And in this case, it wasn't difficult because growing up, all these years and listening to the Beatles, I've always had select favorite songs of mine from the Beatles. And I think I will say that the top half of this list is pretty set, I think, and I'd say the bottom three can probably shuffle around because I love all these songs equally, and I think what was more difficult was what was going to make my honorable mentions, and I have a lengthy list of honorable mentions here because, when you have a favorite band, you have to include a lot of stuff. Well, for me anyway. And I actually made this list quite a long time ago. Well, not really a long time ago. I'd say a couple months ago, in preparation for some videos like this. And I even remember while making this list, it wasn't that difficult because, like what I mentioned, when you have a favorite band, you have some select favorites. And I'm gonna go through my top 10, and then I'm gonna go through my lengthy list of honorable mentions in chronological order. And let me know what your favorite Beatles songs are in the comments below. I'd love to know because, I'd love to see everyone else's opinions because, with the Beatles, there's a lot of, and if you're a Beatles fan, there's a good chance your opinion's different than mine because every Beatles fan is very different and very unique because that's what's so great about their music. They have something for everyone that they can enjoy, and I enjoy everything that they've done. I love the early stuff, and I love for me, from Rubber Soul all the way to Abbey Road, well, all the way to Let It Be. That's for me untouchable. I think that's some of the best string of albums that you can release. And again, I like some of the early stuff before Rubber Soul that they released. So without further ado, let me get into this list. So coming in at number 10, off of Abbey Road, probably not a surprise for most people. If you've been watching this channel for a long time, you know that Abbey Road not only is my favorite Beatles album, but my favorite album of all time. For me, Abbey Road is just a masterpiece from start to finish. I love every second of it. And it's been my favorite album from them for a while. And yeah, it's become my favorite album of all time, I guess a couple years ago or something like that. But yeah, I just think it's a masterpiece from start to finish. I love everything about it. Ironically, this is the only song that's going to make my list. My list is basically, well, there may be a couple exceptions, but there's just one song from a certain album. Because, again, I love everything else. I love everything that they've done because I'm a huge fan. But my number 10 is Something from Abbey Road. And I've said this before, I don't think on the channel, but I think that George Harrison on Abbey Road and also the White Album, that was his best moments. Those were his best. He had, I think, some of his perfect, finest songs were on both of those albums. And I think that he was, and even in his solo career, it would be what's the word I'm looking for? It would be more matured, I guess, because in the early stages of their career, he did write a couple songs. Lennon and McCartney were the songwriting duo. They would write most of the songs. And of course, in their early part of their career, they did a lot of covers. But well, let me move my table up a little close. Anyway, yeah, they would do a couple covers on some albums, and George Harrison didn't write a lot of songs, but he wrote a handful. And his songwriting in the early stages of their career they were good, but I think they really matured, especially in this era. And even from Rubber Soul to Magical Mystery Tour, something like before the White Album, he still had a lot of good stuff. And something that's probably actually looking at this list is my favorite George Harrison vocal song. I just love everything about the song, and the music video is pretty cool too. And this is a song about Patty Boyd, his wife at the time. I believe, yeah, his wife at the time, because they were married before they got divorced, and before, of course, Eric Clapton wrote Layla, which is a love letter to her, obviously. But yeah, something has always been a favorite of mine. I love George's vocals. The music in the song is great. I love the guitar, and the guitar solo in this song is just really beautiful. And again, George Harrison, not only his lyrics but his guitar, his guitar work, because he didn't really have a lot of solos, but there were a couple, and something I think the guitar solo in something is just gorgeous. So coming in at number 10 for me is something off of Abbey Road. Coming in at number 9, this is the only song of their early part of their career that is making my top 10. And when I say early part of their career, I mean from Please Please Me all the way to Help, before Rubber Soul and all the psychedelic stuff. That's how I kind of divide. I kind of divide their career. So I would say Please Please Me to Help. So Please Please Me with the Beatles, Hard Day's Night, Beatles for Sale, and Help. Those are the five. Those are the early years. And Rubber Soul, Revolver, Sergeant Pepper, and Magical Mystery Tour are probably the psychedelic albums, the psychedelic years. And of course, while they were making Magical Mystery Tour, their manager Brian Epstein died from an unexpected drug overdose, and after that, that really signaled the direction of their ending of their career. And then I would say White Album, throw in the Yellow Submarine soundtrack because you have to, Abbey Road, and Let It Be their final years. That's how I divide it. So 5, 4, 4. That's how I divide them in the albums. But anyway, coming in at number 9 is the only song from their early part of their career off of the Help album, which is my favorite of their early albums. For me, Help and Hard Day's Night are really good. They're really strong. And this has always been a gorgeous song. I've always loved Paul's vocals on the song. And it's a song that even if you don't know the if you don't know the Beatles, you probably don't even live on planet Earth. Even if you're not a fan and if you don't know them, then that's kind of shocking because practically everyone knows who the Beatles are. But Yesterday is my number 9 pick off of Help. And I think, going back to what I said before, this is a song, even if you don't listen to the Beatles, you at least know. And this is only McCartney. Okay, this is only McCartney, and this is just a gorgeous song. I love the string quartet in the song. Makes it really fits the mood, I think. And I love Paul's vocals, and the lyrics are really great. And it's such a gorgeous song. One of the best. That's one of the best Paul McCartney vocal songs of all time. If you're gonna ask me what are the best Paul McCartney vocal songs of all time, there's a lot, obviously, because he's one of my favorite vocalists of all time. I would say Yesterday is one of the top, if not maybe the top best. I don't know. It's really close. It's really difficult to think about that, but Yesterday is my number 9 from Help. It's just a really gorgeous song, and I've always loved it ever since I heard it way, way back. So coming in at number 9 for me is Yesterday. Coming in at number 8 off of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, another classic album. That was really the start. Well, I say Rubber Soul really is the start of where they got interesting, and then Revolver took it further because they dove more into the psychedelic nature of their music, and then Sgt. Pepper really just embellished all the psychedelia in the song. I almost said psychedelicness. That's not a word, but this song is another classic song. It's another fan favorite, and it's great in the Yellow Submarine movie. And you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. This is just another great song. I love John's vocals, and I love the harmonies between John and Paul in the song. And that's something that I think I took for granted growing up. I didn't realize how important their harmonies were, because their harmonies were really important. Not only on this song, but throughout their entire career, and not only on this album, but and throughout their entire career, because they were great with the vocal harmonies. with John and Paul, and even George to an extent, and Ringo too. But Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is just a great song. I love the lyrics. And this song is not about LSD. LSD oriented, sure, because they were taking quite a bit of LSD at the time. But the song is about Julian Lennon, John Lennon's son Julian. And he had a classmate named Lucy, and he drew a picture. I think he drew a picture for her or about her or of her. I don't know. I don't really remember. But John looked at it and he said, "This is great," and then he wrote a song about it. It's amazing what they could do back in the day. They could write songs. They could write big popular songs from just a painting or a picture or something like that, and then it would be a classic for years and years and years. But Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is great. I love the drumming from Ringo. I think Ringo Starr is one of the greatest drummers of all time, still to this day. I know a lot of people complained back in the day that he was, I guess, they said he was, simple and repetitive, but this was in the 60s, and no one was doing what he was doing. Charlie Watts from the Rolling Stones to an extent, no one was doing what both of those two were doing back in those days. But yeah, I think Ringo is one of the greatest drummers of all time, and he's the reason why I'm a drummer today, because I've been playing drums for a good couple years now. And in 2 days, it's going to be his 81st birthday. So I guess this is also a nice this is a video for Ringo, I guess, because we did one for Paul, and now we'll do one for Ringo. So happy birthday, Ringo, if you're watching, although I highly doubt it, but I highly doubt that you're watching, because, that would be awesome if you were. But anyway, that's off topic. But Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is a great song. It's always been a favorite of mine. And yeah, it comes in at number 8 for me. Coming in at number 8 is Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds from Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Coming in at number 7 from the Revolver album, which is another great album, another masterpiece in my opinion. These guys, this was the era where they could really do you no wrong, and this is where most of my songs fall in. And this has always been my favorite song off of this album, and it's a really, really cool experimental track, Tomorrow Never Knows, which closes the Revolver album perfectly. The previous tracks before Tomorrow Never Knows were so perfect. They were great. And then you get Tomorrow Never Knows, which is, I really grouped that and Got to Get You Into My Life together. Got to Get You Into My Life, the track before Tomorrow Never Knows. They both end the album perfectly. And Tomorrow Never Knows, at the time, no one had heard anything like that. You'd probably hear random psychedelic sounds. This is a song with tape loops and, random sounds. You can hear seagull cries, which I believe that was Paul doing. But the song is just perfect. I love everything about it, and the lyrics are so cool. Turn off your mind, relax, and float downstream. It's just a perfect song. And it's been a song that has stuck with me for a long, long time. And I've always loved it. It's always been a favorite of mine. And another fan favorite. I have a feeling most Beatles fans include this song in their top 10, or at least high on their list. It may be in their top 10, could be in their top 20 or 30, because again, they have a lot of great stuff, and it's difficult to not include anything, right? So coming in at number 7 for me is Tomorrow Never Knows, and I also love John's vocals on the song, just really great. So coming in at number 7 for me is Tomorrow Never Knows from Revolver. Coming in at number 6, my number 6 and my number 5 were kind of flip-flopping, because I love them both equally. Number 6 is another one of their more popular songs, and I think it's a song that has incredible lyrics. Paul's vocals are so beautiful, and it's a song that everyone knows, even if you're not a fan of the Beatles or if you don't listen to them. The title track, To Let It Be. I mean, that's just a beautiful song, whether you've heard it too many times or not. It's just beautiful. I love the piano, great piano opener, and again, Paul's vocals are great. And it doesn't really matter which one I'm including. I'm including the one from the album, so not Past Masters 2, Volume 2. I'm talking about Let It Be from the album. And it has a great guitar solo from George Harrison. I think, and again, George Harrison, one of the most underrated guitar players of all time. He was really good, especially in these years of the Beatles, and as good in his solo career. But yeah, Let It Be has always been a classic, and again, whether you've heard it too many times or not, it's still a classic. It's still awesome. So coming in at number 6 for me is Let It Be, the title track to the album of the same name. Okay, so we're down to the top five. This is where things have been pretty set for a while, and I think these songs they mean a lot to me, and they're just some of my favorite songs of all time. Coming in at number five, we're going to go to the Magical Mystery Tour album, which is another masterpiece in my opinion, kind of a little sister album to Sergeant Pepper, because I actually think Magical Mystery Tour may be even more psychedelic than Sergeant Pepper because they did a lot of LSD in this career, and both those albums came out in 1967, and that was the year where a lot of LSD was working. Cream with Disraeli Gears that came out, and a lot of great albums. And I know the Rolling Stones released their Satanic Majesty's Request, which I know people say they kind of copied Sergeant Pepper, but I always loved the album. But we're getting off topic. Song I'm talking about, one of their most psychedelic songs, and one of my favorite songs, not only one of my favorite songs from them, one of my favorite songs of all time, because these five are just incredible. And I'm talking about Strawberry Fields Forever. And this song is and the Mellotron opener. And for those of you who don't know what a Mellotron is, you know what a Mellotron is when you hear the beginning of Strawberry Fields Forever. It's just great. It fits the mood. John's vocals are great. The lyrics really don't make a hell of a lot of sense, but it's just great. And the music in the song is great, and I love the end where John's done singing, and then they take this instrumental break, and then it fades out, and then it fades back in with these random psychedelic sounds. It's so cool. And then you can hear, I think it's John, you can faintly hear him saying, cranberry sauce, which at the time a lot of people, and these stupid people have too much time on their hands. People thought that Paul McCartney died, and there were these stupid death rumors going around, and one of them, a lot of people thought that John said, I buried Paul. And a lot of people thought that they replaced Paul McCartney with Billy Shears, who is a character, and what they say, and with a little help from my friends, it's nonsense. I don't know where they got that from. Paul McCartney's alive. He had his birthday, for crying out loud. But anyway, that's a rant for another day. I can go on about that. But yeah, Strawberry Fields Forever is great. And on a little side note, I went to New York a couple of years ago. I love New York a lot, and I can't wait to go back there again. I don't know when. Hopefully sometime soon, because COVID is decreasing, at least where I am. But I went to Central Park, and I went to Strawberry Fields, and that's where they had the Imagine mosaic. Imagine obviously being that classic John Lennon solo song, which is very popular. And I took a picture of the Imagine mosaic, and then I looked to my left, and then I saw the Dakota, the last place where John Lennon was standing before he got shot and killed, unfortunately. So then that was really surreal, just seeing the place where John Lennon died. This wasn't on his death anniversary. This was in the summertime. It was actually a couple years ago. Around this time, I went to Strawberry Fields to see the Imagine mosaic, and there were a lot of young people that really saw that, and they were talking about how much of a genius John Lennon was. It's really cool to see that the Beatles, John Lennon, and the Beatles impacted generations to come, and including my generation, because I don't see a lot of Beatles fans in my generation, unfortunately, but I mean, it is what it is, because there's a lot of people in my generation that listen to more modern stuff, and that's fine, but anyway, Strawberry Fields Forever, that was my little side note of going to Strawberry Fields at Central Park and seeing the Imagine Mosaic and the Dakota, where I think Yoko still lives there, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, coming in at number five for me, Strawberry Fields Forever from Magical Mystery Tour. Coming in at number four, another song that is very popular. It's a single. Well, this was on the EP, or the single of the same name. Was it an EP or single? I think it was a single. It was a single of the same name. But I'm gonna. It's the way I always hear it is on Past Masters Volume One. I'm sorry, Past Masters Volume Two. And this song, it's a very lengthy song and at the time this was 68, I believe it was 68, maybe 69, But this is such a great song. It's a timeless song. It's Hey Jude. Again, a song we've heard a lot, but it's a classic no matter what. And I've always loved Paul's vocals on the song. This is a song that he wrote for Julian Lennon, John Lennon's son, because John and his first wife Cynthia were going through a divorce, and it must have impacted Julian, I assume. So Paul wrote a song for Julian. Originally, it was going to be called "Hey Jules," but that would have been a mouthful, so he just changed it to "Hey Jude." I think most people know that, but and the classic part is where Paul is uh, then you begin to make it better, 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 and then he screams, and then they get into the na section, which is just classic and timeless, and it's really perfect. And this was a single. This is 7 minutes long, and at the time for radio, the length was nothing over 3 minutes or something like that. Nothing over 4 minutes or something like that. And Bob Dylan had like a Rolling Stone, which was 5 minutes, and at the time it felt like an eternity or something like that, or way too long for most people. And and this song, you go from like a Rolling Stone, which for an album that's fine. 5 minutes, no big deal. But for a single, that's way too long. And the Beatles took it further with 7 minutes for Hey Jude. And I think the radio station made a big deal. It was like, oh, we can't play this; it's too long. And I think John Lennon said, "If it's us, we can do it." And they did, and it's one of their more popular songs to this day. And I love Hey Jude. It's just a perfect song. And I love the random screams that Paul makes at the end of the song. It's just really great. So coming in at number 4 for me is Hey Jude. I'm including it from Past Masters Volume 2, although it is a single. Coming in at number 3, off of Rubber Soul, another album I love a lot. This is a really nostalgic song, I think. It takes me back to my younger years, and I just think this is a perfect song, a perfect pop song. I love everything about it. Number 3 for me is In My Life from Rubber Soul. Really great lyrics. John's vocals are so good, and again, this was their first album. Well, Rubber Soul for me is where they got really interesting. And then they went further with Revolver and Sergeant Pepper, and But In My Life is just a really what's the word, poignant, I guess. It's just a really great song. I love everything about it. I love John's vocals. I love Paul's harmonies. I love everything about the song, and it's just a really perfect song. I love the lyrics, and the drumming from Ringo is great, and the piano solo from George Martin is great. Although I think it was sped up. He was really playing it he was playing it at a slower tempo, but then he sped up the piano solo, and we know how it sounds. And if you look on YouTube, I'm pretty sure there's many piano players that have played that song, and they played the piano solo in its time on the actual song. But in reality, George Martin played it slow, and then he just sped it up. But In My Life is just a great song from start to finish. I love John's vocals, as mentioned, and the lyrics are just great. And that song, for me, is the highlight of that entire album. I love that album a lot. I love a lot of songs from Rubber Soul, but I think In My Life has always been, for me, the strongest song off that entire album. It's just a perfect song, perfect nostalgic song. So it comes in at number 3 for me. Right, top 2. This is where things got interesting. So coming in at number 2, for most people, for most Beatles fans, probably number 1. This is off of Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So we actually have 2 Sergeant Pepper tracks on here. I was close. I almost wanted to include one song from each album. I didn't want to repeat, but I had to include Lucy in here somewhere. But coming in at number 2, you all know what it is. If when I mentioned Sergeant Pepper and when I mentioned the top 3, you know what song it is. A Day in the Life. I mean that's just epic right there. And at the time, people had no idea what was expected. And as the story goes, the Beatles put out Rubber Soul. That inspired the Beach Boys to release Pet Sounds, which is another masterpiece. And then the Beatles really liked that. That inspired them to make Sergeant Pepper. So that's how the whole album thing went out. And Revolver was sandwiched between Rubber Soul and Sergeant Pepper. But A Day in the Life is just classic. I love the acoustic guitar. I love the piano. John's vocals are great. The lyrics are really at the time. No one expected lyrics like those, and it's just really mind blowing about it. Thinking about it today, 1967 and 50 some odd years. I'm not good at math. 54 years from now, I think. Well, yeah, if it was 1967, it's 2021. I think it's 54. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not good at math, but A Day in the Life is just really good, and I love the instrumental break with the strings. The orchestra, and I love the part where Paul sings. He says, "Woke up, fell out of bed, dragged a comb across my hair." And I remember watching the carpool karaoke segment of James Corden's show, the Late Late Show with James Corden, when he had Paul McCartney on. Which was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. James Corden in a car with Paul McCartney just singing Beatles songs was awesome. But he took him to random past memories that which he recorded songs. And at the time, Paul McCartney was promoting his album Egypt Station, and yeah, it's just a great song. I love and he mentioned the place where he wrote "Woke up, fell out of bed, dragged a comb across my hair," and then he was running to the bus. That was the inspiration behind that. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's a great watch. But A Day in the Life is really great. And then after that, I love the whole orchestra sounds. I love John's vocals when you get back to that. And when the lyrics are done, you get this phenomenal build up with the orchestra. And then right after all that cacophony, you get one final note on the piano played by, let me see if I remember this, John Lennon, Ringo Starr, George Martin, and Mal Evans. They hit the final note on, I think it was separate pianos or maybe, well, I don't remember, but that was the final note off of that. And when you think it's over, you hear a high pitched needle, and then you hear a random hidden track backwards, and it's just iconic, and it's a great song. And most of you are probably thinking, that's his number two. What's his number one? Well, it would have been my number one if my number one didn't exist. And all right, coming in at number one, I actually want to see what do you guys think my number one is. So, growing up, loving the Beatles, I love a lot of stuff, obviously, and A Day in the Life could have been number one, but there's one song that has stuck with me for my entire life. Okay, it's stuck with me for my entire life, and I think this is a song that at the time is really heavy. Okay, so I'm going to give you hints. So this was on the White Album. We didn't go to the White Album yet, which is another favorite album of mine. I love that album. I think growing up, I said that was my favorite Beatles album because my favorite Beatles song was on that album. And this song is probably their heaviest song. Although, at the time, heavy metal was kind of coming to life from the late 60s or early 70s. And again, it's up for debate, but this is probably their heaviest song. It's off of the White Album. Hold on, I had something pop up. I turned off notifications while I'm recording. Anyway, it's still recording. It doesn't matter. It's off of disc 2. Disc 2 is kind of where a lot of tracks get really experimental. It's off of side 3. Now you probably know what I'm talking about. Coming in at number one for me, and it's a really, really deep cut. I'm going really deep, and usually deep cuts. I love deep cuts. Don't get me wrong. Usually, when I do top 10 songs, usually a hit is number one, but in this case, a deep cut is my number one because this song has stuck with me for my entire life, and it just means a lot to me. Coming in at number one is Helter Skelter. I remember listening to this song, hearing that opening guitar riff is incredible. I remember thinking that is amazing. and then I loved Paul's, I loved hearing his vocals, and he sounded really, really angry. And I loved the whole music. I loved the backing vocals from John and George, and I believe Ringo did backing vocals too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's, and again, at the time, no one had heard heavy metal or heavy rock, or heavy rock. That doesn't make sense. Or hard rock, I guess I should say. And this song was in response to the Who's "I Can See for Miles," and that's another pretty heavy song for them. And again, at the time, and I think Pete Townsend said, "We made the heaviest, dirtiest record ever." And I think Paul McCartney said, "We can do better than that." And this is just a heavy song. I love the guitar solo. The lyrics are great. Paul's vocals are great. And I love the ending where, after Paul's done singing, they take this whole instrumental break. And I believe this song was originally going to be 27 minutes. And to hear 27, or a recording of this was 27 minutes. And to hear a 27-minute version of Helter Skelter must have been incredible. And yeah, this has been a song I've always loved. And at the end, and kind of like with Strawberry Fields Forever, it fades out, and then when you thought it was over, it fades back in with even more weird cacophony like sounds, and then after that, you get a lot of crazy notes at the end, and then Ringo yelling, "I got blisters on my fingers," and that's another reason why I always love the song, because of that line. But I love the whole song because it's heavy, and as I've gotten older, my musical tastes or my musical horizons have expanded, because I love a lot of heavy metal, I love prog rock, I love a lot of things now, and the Beatles really got me into music, I guess you can say. Well, yeah, I guess you can say they got me into music, because for my childhood was nothing but Beatles and Pink Floyd, and they are my top two favorite bands of all time, so it kind of makes sense for nostalgia and for just musical genius. So, yeah, Helter Skelter is my number one. I wonder how many of you guys thought that, and that's not usually on any average fan's top 10 list, but for me it is. It's always been a song that meant a lot to me. So here's my list, and don't worry, I'm going to get to honorable mentions. I'm going to show you my list here, and then I'll show you at the end of honorable mentions. So, alright, I have a lengthy list of honorable mentions, and like I mentioned before, I made this list long time ago. Well, again, not a long time ago, a couple of months ago, so not really long. But this is I'm gonna mention. I might mention some songs that I had forgotten, because I pretty much memorized all their albums. Because again, I'm a big fan, and I memorized the albums and most of their songs. So we're gonna go from from Please Please Me all the way to the end, and I include a couple um, outside stuff, or singles and B-sides, so, and past masters. So stay tuned. So from Please Please Me, I Saw Her Standing There. That's a classic song. I really wanted that in my top 10, but again, and again, maybe it will appear in my top 10, but I think my top 10 may be set. The title track, Please Please Me, is great. I really like that a lot. Love Me Do, their first, well, Please Please Me was their first charting song, I believe. But Love Me Do was a really big song for them also. And oh no, Please Please Me, I think, was their first number one, and Love Me Do was another really popular song. But anyway, Baby It's You, another favorite of mine. They did a great cover of that. Do You Want to Know a Secret? Another great song. Great George Harrison vocal on that song, although he didn't write it. John and Paul wrote it. There's a Place. That's a song that's grown on me a lot. I used to really like it, but I've grown to love it even more. And one that was in my top 10 and got booted out, Twist and Shout. Their cover of Twist and Shout is phenomenal. I love the original version from the Isley Brothers, but this one just, I think, is even better. But, and again, no offense to the original version, because I love that a lot, but this version is incredible if you haven't heard it. And I love when Paul screams, and you can hear John was having a cold at the time, because they recorded this album in a pretty short time, and I'm sorry if you can hear that. There's cars outside, but Twist and Shout, you can hear John having a cold, and you can hear his voice straining where he says "baby." Now you can hear his voice straining at the time. So, yeah, Twist and Shout is another great song. From With the Beatles, It Won't Be Long. That's another great song. I didn't mention All I've Got to Do. That's a great song. I didn't mention it here. It's all in my list of honorable mentions, but I'll mention it here because that is a great song. All My Loving, my favorite song off this album. I love that a lot. I didn't mention Don't Bother Me either. That's another great song. George Harrison's first writing credit. Roll Over Beethoven. I know that's a song that, yeah, that's a song that not a lot of people like, but I always really liked it. And that's obviously a Chuck Berry pen song. They covered that. And their cover of Money, That's What I Want. That's another song that has grown on me. I've always liked it, but it has grown on me ever since. I've always loved it. From A Hard Day's Night, the title track, another song that was in my top 10 and got booted out. I wanted that so bad in my top 10. That, along with Yesterday, if I made a list of my favorite early Beatles songs, that's in the top 3 along with Yesterday. Uh, I should have known better. Again, I didn't include it here. I don't know why, but that's another great song. If I Fell, it's gorgeous. I love John's vocals, and I love the harmonies between him and Paul. Beautiful. I love that. And I Love Her, another gorgeous song. I love Paul's vocals in that song. Tell Me Why, another Tell Me Why is another great song. That's another song that has grown on me a lot in the past years. Can't Buy Me Love, another song I really wanted in my top 10, but it just missed it. That's probably, along with The Hard Day's Night and Twist and Shout, and I saw it standing there, maybe in the top 20 somewhere. I don't know. Things We Said Today, another great song that I've always loved. You Can't Do That, another song with some of my favorite John vocals, and I love the harmonies from Paul. And I'll Be Back, another great closer for them, and another great song. From Beatles for Sale, No Reply is a great song. That's another really underrated song, I think. I'm a Loser is another really great song. And I didn't include Babies in Black on here. I probably should have, but that's another great song. Their cover of another Chuck Berry song, Rock and Roll Music, I think is even better than Roll Over Beethoven. I love that a lot. I love John's vocals on the song. I'll Follow the Sun, another beautiful, gorgeous song sung by Paul. 8 Days a Week, again, along with Yesterday and A Hard Day's Night, that's also probably in the top 3 for favorite early Beatles songs. So it would go 3 8 Days a Week, 2 Hard Day's Night, and 1 Yesterday. That's how it would go. Every Little Thing is another great song, and What You're Doing. Now, there's a couple others I didn't mention. I Don't Want to Spoil the Party is another great song. Probably should include that, but yeah, Beatles for Sale is another underrated album. I like that a lot. Help. Help is from the album Help. I probably should have said that first. It doesn't matter. The title track to Help, another song I love a lot. It's another famous song. The Night Before has long been a favorite song of mine. I love that a lot. I love Paul's vocals on the song. You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, another great song. I probably should have included I Need You and Another Girl. Those are also great songs. You're Going to Lose That Girl, another great song. Ticket to Ride, another song that was in my top 10 and got booted out. I love Ticket to Ride. That's such a great song. Just a perfect song from start to finish. And that was really, I guess the part where they got interesting, although Rubber Soul, like I mentioned, is where they really got interesting. But Ticket to Ride is just incredible. I love it. Act Naturally has been a favorite of mine. I love that a lot. And I've Just Seen the Face, another great song. I'm over-explaining a lot, so the video is almost 40 minutes. I don't want it to be long like the Paul McCartney show, but again, that had more honorable mentions. But anyway, I'll try to go fast. From Rubber Soul, Drive My Car, another great song. Norwegian Wood, This Bird Has Flown, another great song, really beautiful. I love John's vocals. I should have included You Won't See Me. That's another great song. Nowhere Man. Perfect harmonizing from John, Paul, and George. I think it's just perfect. Think for Yourself. Another great song. Great George Harrison vocal. Michelle. Another great song. I love Michelle. It's another great song. I'm Looking Through You. Another favorite of mine. And If I Need Someone. Great George Harrison vocal. From that album. Another great song. From Revolver, I included every other song, so I'm just gonna go quickly. Taxman, great George Harrison vocal. Eleanor Rigby, another song that I really wanted in my top 10. And again, at the time, no one expected anything like that. And I think David Crosby said, Eleanor Rigby, how can you get where you write a song like that or something like that? I think he said something like that. It's on YouTube somewhere, I think. I'm Only Sleeping is another great song. Love You Too. Here, There, and Everywhere. Another gorgeous song. Great Paul McCartney vocal. Another one of my favorites from him. Yellow Submarine. Again, I know a lot of people kind of criticize that as a children's song. It is a children's song, okay? That's what it is, and it's a perfect fit for Ringo, I think. I love his vocals. And the very first Beatles song I ever heard was Yellow Submarine. And that's where it all took off. I always loved that. She Said. Another song that I have always loved and I really wanted in my top 10. Good Day Sunshine, another great song. One that I really love and I wish was in my top 10, maybe in my top 15. It could be number 11 or something like that. And Your Bird Can Sing. And Your Bird Can Sing is just a classic. For No One, Dr. Robert, I Want to Tell You, great George vocal, and Got to Get You Into My Life. Another, and again, like I mentioned with Tomorrow Never Knows, it's great how that's before that. From Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Gotta mention the 1-2 punch. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and With a Little Help from My Friends. Just a great 1-2 puncher. I know Joe Cocker, his version, if you watch The Wonder Years, that was the famous one, but I like that version a lot, but I really like this one. Getting Better is another great song. Fixing a Hole. She's Leaving Home. That's a song that I never really cared for much growing up, but I've grown to love it more. Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite. Another really good song. Within You Without You. Another really great song. I love George's vocals on the song. When I'm 64, another great song. Lovely Rita. Good Morning, and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band reprise. I try not to include everything because it would take too much, but I can't help it. I really can't help myself. That's the thing when you have a favorite band like the Beatles for me. For Magical Mystery Tour, the title track Magical Mystery Tour is great. I like that a lot. The Fool on the Hills is another great song. I love Paul's vocals on the song. Even though it's silly as hell, I love Flying. And it's great in the movie. I love when they're on the bus and the guy says, "Oh, but if you look to your right." That movie was so weird. They were high when they were making that movie, but or TV movie, I think it was, because that was on TV. I haven't seen that in a while. It's very bizarre, but yeah, Flying, I've always really enjoyed. Blue Jay Way, another great song. I've always loved George's vocals on the song. Your Mother Should Know, I Am the Walrus. I Am the Walrus is incredible. That is another great song, and the lyrics don't make sense, but it's just great, and I love the entire song. John's vocals are incredible. Hello Goodbye, another song I love. Penny Lane, another great song that I wish was in my top 10. I love that song a lot. Maybe You're a Rich Man, and All You Need Is Love, another classic from them. Okay, so from the White Album, I'm not going to include everything because it's a double album. There's 30 songs, so that's lengthy at the time. And, today, by today's standards, it's still classified as a double album. But I'm going to include the songs that I really like. So, Back in the USSR, and Back in the USSR going into Dear Prudence, that stuff right there is great. Dear Prudence has some of my favorite John vocals also. Glass Onion is a song I enjoyed. It's silly, but Obla Di Obla Da is just great. I love that. While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Okay, that's in my top 15 somewhere. A phenomenal guitar solo from, at the time, an uncredited Eric Clapton. Just great, a great guitar solo from him. I always love that. Happiness is a Warm Gun. That's another great song. Martha, My Dear, I'm So Tired. That's another great song. That's for me an anthem these days because I love sleeping. I need sleep. Anyway, that's the side note. Blackbird, at the time, and that's a song that's kind of prevalent today. A civil rights movement song, and it has really moving lyrics, and I love Paul's vocals on the song. And I love his voice on the song. I love everything about it. Piggies, it's silly, but I love it a lot. Rocky Raccoon is another great one. I don't care what anyone says. I love "Don't Pass Me By." That's one of two Ringo Starr written songs. He didn't write a lot. He only wrote two songs in their career. That's an Octopus's Garden in their career. But I always really like "Don't Pass Me By." That's always been a favorite of mine. "I Will," another beautiful song. "Julia" is another great song. "Birthday," that's another popular song for them. One that I've always really liked, but I've grown to love it even more. "Your Blues." Fun song to play on drums, by the way. That's another great song. "Everybody's Got Something to Hide Except Me and My Monkey." That's another great song. Oh, I didn't include Mother Nature's Son. I probably should. That's a great song, but I like "Everybody's Got Something to Hide Except Me and My Monkey." That's another great song. "Long, Long, Long." That's another great song. Another one I didn't mention, "Sexy Sadie." I like that a lot. I'm getting ahead of myself, but "Long, Long, Long" is great. "Revolution 1," I like that a lot. "Savoy Truffle." That's a George Harrison song. I believe that's a song that he wrote about Eric Clapton's addiction to chocolate. "Cry Baby Cry" is another great song, and "Good Night." "Good Night" is a beautiful song. I love Ringo's vocals on the song. All right, out of the White Album. So "Yellow Submarine." I wanted to mention the Yellow Submarine stuff. So "Only a Northern Song." That's another great song. Again, it's silly, but all together now, that's another great song. "Hey Bulldog," probably my favorite song off the album. It's great. I love that a lot. "It's All Too Much," another great song. Another great George Harrison vocal. I'm not going to mention the score stuff because that's George Martin stuff, and it's fine on its own. It works well in the movie. From Abbey Road. Abbey Road for me is just jam packed with masterpieces. So "Come Together," "Maxwell Silverhammer," "Oh Darling," "Octopus's Garden," like I mentioned. "I Want You, She's So Heavy" is another song that I've always loved, but I've grown to love it even more. "Here Comes the Sun," another popular song from them. That's another great song. "Because," another great song. And the entire Abbey Road medley. Okay, so "You Never Give Me Your Money," "Sun King," "Me and Mr. Mustard," "Polythene Pam," "She Came In Through the Bathroom Window," "Golden Slumbers," "Carry That Way," and the end. Specifically, those three at the end is perfect. And I include Her Majesty on here too because I'm so used to the album that I have to include it. That's for me anyway. From Let It Be. So Let It Be was their final album that they released, but it wasn't their final album recorded. That was Abbey Road. Two of Us, Big a Pony, Across the Universe is a great song. I Me Mine, I've Got a Feeling is another great song. That's another song I love a lot. Great deep cut. One After 909 is great. The Long and Winding Road is a classic song. That's another favorite of mine. For You Blue, and Get Back. Get Back is another great song. Great closer. I think Long and Winding Road might have been a better closer if that song closed the album. Okay, so we're getting down to the final stuff. So from Past Masters Volume 1, From Me to You, that's another great song. She Loved You, that's another classic. And I Want to Hold Your Hand. Those two songs are great. And if you had asked me years ago, they probably would make my top 10, but I've liked other stuff as I've gotten older, but I still love those. This Boy, that's another great song. Their cover of the Little Richard classic, Long Tall Sally. I Feel Fine is another classic. I like the opening where there's a guitar on an amp, and when they turn it on, it goes, yeah, it's a weird sound, but I like that song a lot. She's a Woman, another great song, and I'm Down, another great song. From Past Masters Volume 2. Day Tripper and We Can Work It Out are amazing. Those are two great songs. Paperback Writer, another great uh, harmony vocal intros. I love that a lot, and it's a perfect song. Rain, probably one of their most psychedelic songs ever. That's a great song, and I love Ringo's drumming on the song. Lady Madonna's another great song. Revolution is incredible. That I love John's vocals on the song. His voice is really angry, and of course, in his solo career, he would write a bunch of political songs. Don't Let Me Down is another great song. I went with Old Brown Shoe on here. That's a deep cut, but I love that a lot. And again, even though it's silly, you know my name. Look up the number. It's silly, but I love it a lot. And I included from the anthology series "Real Love" and "Free as a Bird." Those are just great songs. I've always loved that a lot. So That is my honorable mentions. Let me show you my list one more time in case you forgot. Let me know which ones you want me to do, which top 10 song shows you guys would like me to do in the comments below, because this is fun. I really like doing these. So this video is nearly 50 minutes long, so it's gonna take a while to upload. But yeah, let me know what your favorite Beatles songs are in the comments below, and yeah. Let me know what other bands you'd like me to do. Do you want me to do something that I've done on the channel before, like, Queen, Pink Floyd, Rush, The Doors, Weird Al, ELP. I can do those, and I can do stuff. You can take reference from my top 100 favorite albums of all time and look at look at the list and see some of the albums that were on there, and ask me, hey, can you talk about this band? And yeah, maybe I'll do that. But anyway, please leave a like, comment if you want, view my videos, and of course subscribe, and ring the bell for daily notifications. Thanks for watching this video, guys. This has been Halbuska, signing off. Stay safe, take care.